Welcome back. Today you're watching a Haudenosaunee, often called the Iroquois, parade-style cultural celebration featuring a powerful symbol connected to the Onondaga Nation, the Firekeepers. In the next few minutes, I'll explain what Haudenosaunee means, why the Onondaga are known as Keepers of the Central Fire, and what a Firekeepers-themed float can represent through history, symbolism, and respectful cultural context. The word Haudenosaunee is commonly translated as people of the Longhouse. The Longhouse is more than a historical home, it's also a living metaphor for unity, shared responsibility, and diplomacy. When people use the term Iroquois Confederacy, they're often referring to the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, a political and cultural alliance famous for a sophisticated system of governance and law, often described as the Great Law of Peace, an oral constitution centered on reason, respect, and consensus. In modern public celebrations and cultural showcases, you'll sometimes see those ideas expressed through art, design, and symbolic imagery, especially when an event highlights Confederacy identity. Within that longhouse metaphor, different nations have distinct roles. The Onondaga are widely recognized as the keepers of the central fire, often described as caretakers of the council fire, where leaders gather to deliberate and keep unity alive. The Onondaga Nation's own historical explanation describes their council role as firekeepers, emphasizing their responsibility in Confederacy decision-making and council process. So what does firekeepers mean in a parade context? Think of the central fire as a symbol of continuity, something that is kept alive, protected, and tended, not just for one person, but for the whole community. A firekeeper's float can be designed to show the idea that unity doesn't happen by accident. It is maintained through responsibility, calm leadership, and a commitment to working problems out through counsel rather than conflict. As you watch this float, you may notice visuals that suggest center and gathering. Fire imagery often represents guidance and renewal. Circular arrangements can signal counsel and community. A longhouse silhouette or repeating patterns may reference people of the longhouse identity and the idea that multiple nations are connected under one roof. You might also see design elements inspired by wampum belt aesthetics, geometric forms, and connected shapes, because wampum has long been used to record agreements, histories, and responsibilities. Even when modern visuals are stylized, the message can still echo those older ideas: connection, memory, and law. One reason people connect the Firekeepers' role to the Great Law of Peace is that many summaries and educational excerpts describe a council process in which matters are discussed and then referred to the Onondaga Firekeepers for council responsibility or judgment. In historical excerpts, the Onondaga lords are explicitly labeled Firekeepers, reflecting that central role. It's also important to watch with respectful awareness. Clothing styles, beadwork-like designs, feathers, colors, and ceremonial details are not costumes. In real communities, these can carry identity, family ties, personal achievement, spiritual meaning, or community responsibilities. And because your parade visuals are AI-created concept clips, it's best to treat them as artistic interpretation rather than a literal record of a specific real-world event. The respectful way to enjoy and learn is to focus on the meaning, what is being honored, what responsibilities are being shown, and what values are being highlighted. Here's a simple documentary-style way to watch. When you see the fire theme, think about what it takes to keep a community centered: patience, wisdom, and ongoing care. When you see connected symbols, think unity among nations and the idea that strength comes from cooperation. When you see repeated geometric patterns, think record-keeping and agreements, how societies preserve law, memory, and identity across generations. And when you see celebration, remember that these cultures are not frozen in the past. They're living, modern, and carried forward by real people and communities today. If you ever attend real Indigenous cultural events, a good rule is to follow the event's guidance, be mindful with filming and close-ups, and avoid assumptions. Not every symbol has a one-line explanation, and not every detail is meant to be publicly interpreted. Respectful curiosity matters most. If you enjoyed this kind of cultural parade history and symbolism breakdown, tell me which parade history you want next.
These white shells symbolize peace and truth in our culture. The process takes great patience.
Honor the peacemaker. The Great Spirit guides us. We are Kanyan Okehanka.
As you can see, we process the hemp right here. It takes patience, but the finished rope is incredibly strong and versatile. We build these vessels using the traditional coil method. The designs you see are passed down through generations. This is the float technique, and see how the warp threads pass over each other to create the pattern. These are traditional patterns passed down through generations. Notice the detail in the blue beads.
And over here, the silk thread gives it that incredible sheen.